All right, big, beautiful bill number 2. That's part of the conversation, of course. Big, beautiful bill number 2. Of course, there's also this government shutdown, apparently, that's being discussed in some places. I'm tired of all that nonsense, by the way. Do your jobs. Get a budget in place. Cut wasteful spending. This is pretty simple stuff here. Big, beautiful bill number 2. What could it do? It could pick up some of the loose ends, some of the things that they missed in big, beautiful bill number 1. Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform, with me. Grover, nice to see you today.
Hey, Steve.
So you've got some ideas here. An op-ed for the Daily Caller lays out a variety of tax cuts that you'd like to put forth. Tell us what's front of mind for you, sir.
Well, these are ideas that were discussed either in the first Trump administration or in this last discussion, and they just didn't fit into the sandbox as they were putting it together. The biggest one is one that Trump came very close to getting back in his first term, and that is the end of taxation on inflation. Right now, when you sell your home, you pay a capital gains tax on it. What does that include? The real gain, your house is worth more than it used to, but also simply all the inflation during the Biden years, if you're old enough, during the Jimmy Carter years, which is hard to believe was worse than the Biden years. And then add up every 1 or 2% each year, and pretty soon, most of the increase in the value, the capital gain of your home, your small business, your farm, your ranch, stocks you bought when you were younger, all of those things are worth more, and some of it's real. That you should pay capital gains tax on until we get rid of it. But right now, under the law, you pay a capital gains tax. What you shouldn't do is be paying income taxes on inflation. And so what they can do is by an executive order out of Treasury, a rule, and this is Bassett, who's the head of the Treasury Department. He understands this is very powerful. The president supported it back in his first term, and I've talked to him about it directly. We have a lot of support in the House and the Senate. I believe we could either pass it legislatively or do it by executive order. It would make it easier to sell your home and move when you get older and not get hit with this gigantic tax hike, or your small business that you built up during your lifetime. Huge step forward.
Yeah, and one of the things that would create is we know there's a housing pinch in America in some places. Now, housing prices have come down in some notable places like Fort Myers, Florida, and Las Vegas and so forth. But generally in this country, there's a pinch on housing. If people that are older could sell their 4-bedroom house and move to a 2-bedroom house, it would open up housing opportunities for young families and so forth because you didn't tax the daylights out of them. Seems to make sense to me. Something else here, though, that came up, and it's way down in your op-ed, but I saw this and I chuckled. And it's about the war in 1898, the Spanish-American War, the tax on telephones that were only for the very rich in this country. Well, that tax is still in place. And I learned from your op-ed, Grover, you being brilliant, that 47% of the households in Pennsylvania still have landlines and are still paying a ridiculous tax on a war that ended 130 years ago or something like that. I mean, this stuff is still on the books. How is that possible?
This is the way big government and the left operate. They say, oh, we're going to tax the very rich. And 130 years ago,
or whatever,
only rich people had phones, right? This is before 1900, during the Spanish-American War. And what happened? Well, within a few years, everybody had a phone, and everybody's paying the tax. And then they did cut back a lot of it. I thought we killed it, right? We cut it back, and there's still pieces of it still there. Taxing people today of moderate means, of all means, we need to get rid of those sorts of excise taxes. Frankly, you want to help middle-income people, cut the beer tax, the wine tax, the tax on guns to protect yourself. There's a 10%, 11% tax on buying a pistol in order to protect yourself at home. And so all of these things just make life more difficult for average citizens. Take those taxes down or get rid of them completely.
And here's another, capital gains taxes on mutual funds. Beth Van Dyne, good friend of mine now, who's been on the program a number of times, I've got to know her pretty well, wants to stop taxing the growth on mutual funds until the shares are actually sold and that profit is realized. Again, however, how much of that is inflation? Again, this inflation thing really has me thinking about it must apply across to so many different items, right?
Oh, absolutely. It is a huge, huge step forward. Reagan took the tax on inflation out of your wages back in 81, 82, 83. So that those brackets that inflation would put you up in a higher tax bracket. Oh, you're richer than you were last year. Really? Well, inflation says you're richer than you were. So you're now in a higher tax bracket. Reagan said and passed a law. The tax brackets move with inflation. You do not get put into a higher tax bracket because of inflation. That was a very important step forward. We need to build on what Reagan accomplished and what Trump fought to do in his first term.
Yeah, we need to, just so many pieces and parts that float around in there. That's what happens when you have pages and pages, thousands of pages in a tax bill. I mean, how do you ever find it all? I mean, maybe the AI team from Doge could find it, but good Lord. If you got something from 1898, and to be fair, it's not 130 years, it's only 127 years later, Grover, I exaggerated.
I went to public school. I don't know all these things.
Yeah. Anyhow, I mean, we got to clean it up. I'll give you the last word.
We have a real opportunity this fall to continue to build on the successes of the Big Beautiful Bill. This is very important. Expanding health savings accounts, making them available for more people. That's a very big opportunity. I think getting rid of or reducing a lot of these federal excise taxes. If your state wants to do something stupid and have the excise tax, well, that's up to your state. You've got to deal with the governor that you vote for. But there's no reason to hit those excise taxes on all Americans.
100% agree with that. Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform. My friend, thank you for being here.
Good to be with you.
All right, I'll take a break. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Just say no to taxes. Friends don't let friends pay taxes on inflation either, by the way. Back after this.